lovely, gorgeous, delightful, amazing Dee Dickens. Just going to read Dee's bio here. Dee Dickens lives on a mountain with her husband and cats, writing poems and studying her MA. Host of the Dickens and Quips poetry podcast, her upcoming collection is Fear of Drowning, published by Whisky Beards Publishing. Hello, Dee. How are you?
I'm all right, not too bad. How are you?
You have actually provided the most concise and modest bio out of everyone.
I am not very good at selling myself. I was better at it, I would say. Captain of the Cardiff Met Poetry Slam team that just made it through to the semi-finals for the second year
Yay!
running. Yay!
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I never know what to put in my bio. I'd like put qualifications, and I'm like, am I applying for a job?
Good
Like,
job.
what's going on?
Yeah, I feel that. I'm like, okay, this is who I am. This is my bio. You want to know about my accomplishments? Let's chat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I find it's good to keep it short and sweet, though, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
if you got a bio that was like a page long, you'd be like, someone thinks that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about your upcoming book?
I am so excited.
I'm so excited. It's actually like one of the most diverse in style books that I've read in a long time.
Yeah, it was my dissertation, and it was partly a way of saying, um, this look at all the poems I can do, look at all the different things I have learned over the past 3 years. But mostly I started playing with different styles because they suited the poem.
Yeah, I love that. I always used to write like in a certain way, and then I realized way too late into the into the poetry that actually, like you say, it's best to pick a style to fit the poem.
I think sometimes the poem picks the style.
Yeah, very much, yeah.
Right, you'll be writing it and you'll go, oh, well, okay, well, this seems to be an iambic pentameter. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Although I really struggle to write any sort of rhyme or anything.
You know what? I've got better at rhyme. I
Mm,
really was struggling when I realised at first that I didn't have to write in rhyme. That
mm.
was liberating,
Yeah,
absolutely liberating. But now I'm doing it more than I was purely because I'm playing with form. And with the
yeah,
form, sometimes it determines that you need to use rhyme. And
yeah.
with that comes um, a sort of freedom within. It's like being constricted to a certain thing gives you a freedom to push its boundaries and to say what you want within it. It's like a
Mm.
safe space almost.
Yeah, well, I find poetry in general is a safe space. I mean, like, I feel like it really like saved my life, basically. I don't know if
Yeah,
you have similar feelings.
absolutely, absolutely. Writing in general saved my life, and then being a poet, it's great because it's taught me who I am. I don't know what I think about a lot of things until I start writing a poem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I always think it's like sad, like really sad when people don't have that one thing in their life where they go like, okay, like I'm a mom or like I'm a whatever, but like this is my space. Can you all go away for a second? And like I
Yeah,
don't know what I'd do if I didn't have that.
yeah, totally agree. Utterly agree. I, it's just, and I speed write a lot of my poems as well.
I
So,
love that. Yeah.
but when I'm doing form, it forces me to slow down.
Well, that's always
So,
good as well. Yeah. Form is a
yeah,
nice challenge, really, as long as you
yeah,
know you don't put pressure on yourself. It's a nice challenge. I think sometimes people get annoyed because they're like, "Why should I write in form?" And it's like you don't have to
no,
if you don't
write
want
in
to.
what you like,
Yeah.
but play. I think all poetry should be a playground. I think all creativity should be a playground.
Yeah.
And yeah, go and have a play, see what feels nice, see what doesn't. You may be more of a guzzle person than you are, um, Sestina person, and damn, am I more of a guzzle person than I am a Sestina person. Sestinas do my head in, but but you know what I do with them now?
What do you
I
do?
don't write them.
That's good. Can you tell me about your uni slam experience? Because it seems like a really amazing, positive experience.
Well, okay, so last year in 2020, in fact, last weekend a year ago, a little ragtag university called Cardiff Metropolitan made its way to Birmingham for their first ever time at Uni Slam, and we were blown away. It has changed who we are as poets, it's changed who we are as people. It's you get there and you hear the whole slam thing about the points not being the point, the poetry is the point.
Hmm.
There is nowhere this is more true than Uni Slam.
Yeah.
There was an artist panel, like we literally walked in on day one, sat there, and there is Sierra de Mulder, and there is Rachel Long, and there is Vanessa
Whoa,
Kosuni,
yeah.
right? And they want to hear what we all want to ask them, and they
Mm,
want to have a conversation with us about poetry.
mm,
And it was just incredible. And then meeting the other teams, seeing all
mm,
the other poetry performed, it was
mm.
just amazing. We made it again this year because last year we got to the final and came fourth, which we were just so shocked about.
Mm.
This year we've just found out yesterday we've made it to the semi-final again.
Oh, brilliant.
And our twin team from last year have just sent a message, and they're not competing this year because they're all doing dissertations, but they've just sent us a message saying like, "Yeah, we knew you could do it. What have you?" And that support has been ongoing in the year since we met.
That's brilliant. I know that, well, I don't know if this is a thing that you've encountered, but I'm in different like poetry worlds or circles, and it's like
Yeah,
you have the circle that's like doesn't like slams, for whatever reason and stuff, and it's like this ongoing debate, which I have no horse in. I think if you're out there and you're doing what you love and you're having a good
yeah.
time, and that's fine. But what do you think of this debate of like pro slam, anti slam, if that is something that you've encountered?
It is a bit, but I'm like, yeah, you do you.
Yeah.
I'm so much do you. I mean, I write stuff for the page as well as performance.
Mm.
I write prose. I write scripts. Like, just play. And what is wrong in your life that you've got to put somebody down for
Yes.
doing something, right?
Thank you. And I just think, man, don't, even if you don't like something, like I might not like wearing, I don't know, a wedged heel, in which case I won't wear a wedged
Wear a
heel.
red
Like,
tail.
yeah,
Yeah.
like don't take part in stuff that's not your business. Like you do you. No one's making
Like,
you do anything.
honestly, there is so much, like, for people, like, I'm going to say this, right, about the poetry world. Some of you are cis white het men, and it shows, right? Because the elitism that they swear to be in poetry, modern poetry, get rid of all this elitism and anti-colonize things and what
Mm.
have you. For all of that, they are still doing the same as their poetry
And I find they
forefathers.
don't even realize that they're doing it.
No, and if you call them out on it, good
Yeah,
God.
yeah, good God, yeah, good God. How long have you been writing poetry specifically?
Oh, poetry specifically, I've been writing, this is my fourth year of writing poetry.
Whoa, like, wow, like you're amazing. Like
Thank you.
that's, but then again, you probably always were in a sense, it's,
You know what? I think I say I've been writing poetry for 4 years. I've been doing the act of writing it down for
yeah.
4 years. But I think you are born a poet. Though I went to a Robin Hobb thing about talking about fantasy writing, and she was saying that actually the writing it down is the last bit of the process,
I love that.
the initial process. Then you go on to drafting and redrafting, blah blah blah. But she says the walking round, the writing bits, things on bus tickets, or receipts and shoving them in your bag and forgetting about them. the going, oh, that's a really pretty tree. Actually, that's a massive pretty tree. It's massive and pretty. How can I get that into my work? What does that make me think about? All of that is part of the writing process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been writing since I was about 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought so. An act of poetry is so broad, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you feel like, do you have a close relationship with music? I know there's um musical references in your book.
Hugely. I was a songwriter before I was a poet. I was in a band when I was pregnant with my second child. For that whole summer, we gigged with me with my
That's
big
so cool.
belly. I actually used their heartbeat. We recorded it with a powerful directional mic and a Doppler, and we put it through stuff, and it's actually used as one of the drum beats because that's how pretentious we were in '95. But yeah, music has always been really important to me. It's been a haven
Hmm.
when I have nothing else. It's something that will carry me away, and I like finding musicality in people's poems
Hmm.
as well. I think that's possibly one of the reasons I like performance poetry, because there's an ebb and a flow, and there's tone, and there's cadence,
Hmm.
and there's like the volume, and then it's really quiet.
Hmm.
And I love that because it's so musical.
Yeah, absolutely. How has the COVID experience affected you in your work? Has it been negative? I mean, it is negative,
No,
but no, has
no,
it not?
not even in the slightest. The COVID experience, I mean, apart from having COVID, because this time last year I had
It's
COVID,
rough. It is
it
rough.
is so rough. I nearly died twice. Like,
Oh, I'm so
nearly,
sorry.
it's all right. It's fine. I can talk about it because, like, get your vaccinations, wear your masks, wash your hands. Like, this is not difficult shit.
Absolutely.
It's not hard. Um, but since then, actually, no, COVID has made it easier for me to attend more events. I'm a disabled woman. I use a motorized scooter to get around. And the amount of things, even with the best will of the world and with people trying, that made inaccessible for me
Mm.
was huge. So now I sit, for instance, now I'm sat on my bed in my pajamas chatting to you.
Yep,
I was
brilliant.
I took part in a workshop last night with Paul Tran. Oh my god, if you ever get to go to one of their workshops, go. Just life changing stuff.
Mm.
And I did that, then closed the lid of my laptop and had a nap. I
That's
couldn't
brilliant.
do that without this whole move to online, and it's opened up so many spaces for disabled poets.
Yeah, exactly. This is what me and Connor Sansby talked about as well. We hope that the online stuff will continue in strength
Yeah,
alongside, because I found, with having a child, and when I had, when I was ill and just things like that, it really liberates you to still be able to take part.
yeah, absolutely. It makes you feel included, and it means that these um, these poetry elitists, who are, to be honest, quite gatekeepy about things a lot of the time, um, it means that actually we're still knocking on their doors and grabbing at their coattails and going, no, we are still here and we will still be heard. The space is more open for people who have got childcare commitments, who
Absolutely, yeah.
are disabled, who, for whatever reason, can't always attend the physical space.
Absolutely. I remember when I was a teenager and I was going into bookshops trying to look for more poetry to consume. There wasn't really that much contemporary poetry available. Like maybe like there'd be 4 books on the shelf, and now you go into a shop and it's like there's loads, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love how accessible poetry is becoming. And that I think is in big part, because of things like Unislam, things like spoken word, things like your podcast and my podcast, where we're talking more about poetry. Button Poetry's had a massive influence. Brave New Voices, that sort of thing. The internet,
Yeah. Yeah,
Insta
absolutely.
poets, whatever. It's huge, and it was always huge, but now people can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a close poetry family or community?
Yeah, big
It,
style.
it's
There
lovely,
are
isn't it?
people, it really is. There are poets I would willingly give my life for. And yeah, it's great. I mean, Connor, Connor Sansby, he's like my brother.
Yeah, he's a
He
guru. He's like
really is.
guru, mentor.
But he's a good person, and I
Yeah.
think this is one of the things I found. There are some people who are not great people, and some that are. I mean, doing my editing of my book with you and Jess,
Mm.
that made me feel like we were like properly close
Yeah.
emotionally during that time.
Yeah.
And then I've got my people who I'm like friends with, who are on my team, who are just in my friend circle, who are in my classes. Yeah, poetry community's tight.
I would. The only thing
Dark
is,
culture.
I would just say, like, if you're, I don't know, like maybe you're like a really like clued up young person, but I don't know. If I was 18 and I had started going into like this world, I would just say, just
Yeah.
like, be careful.
I'm a 50-year-old woman. So, right, I'm not an 18-year-old who's just going wide-eyed into her first poetry slam.
Yeah.
I'm not that. I've I've lived a life. I have learned lessons.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the thing of experience. I would always say, like my big advice about picking your friends and and what have you, is people will be honest and show you who they are. Believe them.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? That's amazing advice. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah,
Believe them the first time.
the first time, right? And if they're waving red flags, they can wave them somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because there are other good people in the world for you to spend your time with. Be picky. If that means people call you a bitch, the kind of people who are going to call you a bitch for that are not the kind of people you need in your circle.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Yeah,
You write about race a lot.
yeah.
Which I've written to some extent as well. What do you think the state of the country is now? To me, I feel like it's quite bad and that we've gone backwards.
Do you know what? We're recording this the day after the Meghan Markle
I was
interview,
gonna say,
um, which we should be calling the Harry and Meghan Markle
mm,
interview. But it's kind of telling that we're focusing on the black woman
yeah,
rather than the white ginger man.
yeah,
Um, it's like, what has she got to say? All the focus is on her.
mm,
I have seen some disgusting things. Now, I am a Republican through and through. I really do firmly believe that we do not need a monarchy, that having one is inhumane. I think I would go that far and use that word.
mm,
But I am not here for gaslighting a black woman when she says she has been the victim of racism into saying, no, you haven't, unless you tell us.
yeah,
Seriously, as a mixed race woman myself, and I count myself black because like the racists see the black in me, I don't see the white.
I always say that racists will always see you as the color that isn't white. So don't try and be like, oh, but you're
Absolutely.
mixed race, because
Yeah, right. Walking into any family when you're dating a white guy, right,
mm,
means you are walking into a hostile environment. 9 times out of 10, there will be something in that first meeting where you go home and you say to the boyfriend, well, I wasn't very happy with that. Or the boyfriend goes, oh, I'm really sorry about my nan. Or what. Now imagine that, in a royal family.
Yeah, exactly that. Any woman of colour that's had a child with a
Oh
white
my
man
God.
knows those shitty comments of, you
Yeah.
know, about your kids.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had well, thank goodness you're not having more children. There's enough pickneys running around. I've had
That's
like I've had are you have they I got called a phase someone was going through, right? A phase, because obviously we can't get married because it wouldn't be fair on any children. Like, and don't and you know, obviously I'm going on rant now. And the people who go, oh, it's just their age, they're from a different time. No, because you know what we've had as long as we've had racists and fascists? Anti-racist and anti-fascist. People have always stood up and said, actually, no, this is wrong. So you can choose. You can choose whether to be racist slash fascist or not. It is not. You are not pre-programmed. You can break out of that. So I think racism in this country is going backwards. I'm lucky. I live in Wales and I don't see it here at all.
that's
But
good. Yeah, yeah,
but when I was walking St George's Day, I don't know about you, I used to dread St George's Day because then I didn't know which pub was safe. Normally I see a St George's flag on the outside of a pub and I know not to bother going in there for a
yeah.
drink.
This is what I said to a fellow poet on Facebook, exactly what you just said about the St George's flags. And, you know, he went mental at me. Anyway, he had to delete his account because he was a sexual predator. So,
It's code, it's shortcut.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or you're not welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I even find in creative circles there can be an attitude of, can you stop going on about it? And it's like,
Yeah.
mm.
No. The
But
fact that you
no.
want me to stop going on about it shows I still need to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Am I making your little colonial butt hurt?
How is the writing community where you are? What's it like? What's the scene like?
You know, I have heard some really awful things about writing scenes, like how they're really exclusive and bitchy.
Hmm.
South Wales is a utopia. I'm not even
Oh,
joking.
that sounds wonderful.
Everybody is so supportive of everybody else.
Hmm.
If
Oh,
it's
brilliant.
especially if it's your first time doing something, we all encourage people to get involved. It's like you're asked to curate an event, and if I'm asked to curate an event and I'm asked for 8 poets, I will make sure that 3 of them have never done this before.
Yeah, it's always important. I would do that as well. It's always important to include new voices.
Yeah, exactly. Let's encourage people. Let's give them that little bit of confidence. And yeah,
Absolutely.
actually, South Wales and especially the Cardiff scene is really supportive. Big shout out to Christina Thatcher, Matt Troy, Dan Wells, Dan Mitchell, um, just all of them. Everybody who runs spoken word nights is amazing.
All right. I was wondering if you could read a couple of your poems for me.
Okay, so having talked about form, I am going to read you 2 of my poems which work with form. The first one is a sonnet, and the working title is Sonnet in Iambic Pentameter, where all the iams in the couplets right with the I am underneath it, because that's the kind of poetry arsehole I am. That's the working title, because sometimes you just got to give yourself a challenge. So, for a little bit of background on this poem, um, it's from a new pamphlet collection that I'm writing at the moment, The Change the Child and the Horse, and it's a collection that's going to deal with child sexual abuse, so trigger warnings for metaphorically talking about that sort of thing. And she invents um, an imaginary friend who is a horse to take her away and keep her safe. So this is, find it again. This is about her going and then coming back. So yeah, there's a trigger warning here for suicidal ideation as well. Unto the breach, dear friends, she deigns to strive. Path true, she'll reach world's end in pain, alive. They'll range the wilds, hunt game, and plan their course. The changeling child, her flame dress and her horse. Lost they drink to death, the health, the latter costs, she can't escape herself. It matters not, she dreams which road she'll roam. In tatters, lost, it seems all roads lead home. She thinks that she can stay, endure with pills. She drinks and sees the way to cure her ills. She prays and hopes, declares her final breath. She plays with rope. She swears to find her death. She tries and fails and sleeps and wakes, and then, so tired, she quails and weeps and breaks again. So that's the Untitled one. And
What an amazing rhythm.
thank you. I wanted to use iambic pentameter because this is the kind of poetry arsehole I am. It feels like a horse galloping, and it's a poem about the girl and her horse. So yeah, it's like I said, I'm having fun. The other one is the ghazal I sent you.
Yep.
And I wrote this last night in said workshop with Paul Tran, and life changing. It's not very long, and it's just called Ghazal for my husband. I once feared love, a rabbit heart, a take a fuck and grab it heart. You smiled and claimed it heart. Was struggling to escape, run for it heart. Caught, you grabbed my fear and killed it. My heart thanks you, and so do I, my heart.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm feeling overly romantic at the moment because my husband and I are we've just booked the remarriage. So we're being all really soppy. We're getting remarried next year. Like having
How
the big
lovely.
wedding we didn't have before.
Oh, how lovely. I'd like to get remarried because I got married at 5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So I was like a big marshmallow, and I was like, towards the end of it, I was like, oh, when are these people going to go home? I don't want to go to
And we've booked a honeymoon in Crete as well.
Oh, lovely. How nice.
Yeah. And I was all like, yeah, the beaches look good, the weather looks good, the price was really good. And then I found out about all the Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So now I'm in.
That they used to think that Troy was an imaginary metaphorical place, and then someone actually found the Troy down to the very cup that is mentioned in the stories, and it's just like that happened. They found.
No, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to deep dive about Cretan mythology and learning Greek.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I love traveling. Traveling is so good for writing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go to museums and see things, and so well, inside my head, I am just a constant excited scream at the moment.
I'm glad. I'm so happy for you. You generally seem like a really happy, positive person. That's like what I noticed about you straight away. Is that something that you're told a lot?
It is now because I got my shit together. But thank you for saying it. I always love hearing it.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time, long time on the verge of suicide. A long time, too many years to count. And then I got that. There's an amount of therapy you have that tips you over and makes you go, oh. And I managed to get to that magic sweet spot of therapy. And I also started putting things I was telling other people into practice. And I think that's what did it. So I'm very picky with my friends. I know all of my friends have my back. There is not a single one I don't trust. and
Mm.
it became really important to me. And so I'm happy. I'm doing what I wanted to do. I'm
Exactly.
writing. I'm married to a gorgeous, wonderful, loving man, and my kids are thriving. And yeah,
Exactly. And you know what? I feel exactly the same way. You know, when you do what you love and you're happy in yourself, it's just like, cool, I'm just like cruising here. I see some shit over there. That's not my shit. I see some shit over there. That's not my shit.
one of my friends, I had to message her and say, look, I haven't invited your ex to the wedding. Now, it's not because she doesn't get on with her ex, they get on really well, but the ex's new partner hates her. And I don't want my friend to feel uncomfortable. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And she was like, oh, yeah, anytime we meet up when he's down my way for work, we meet up for dinner. And I'm like, does she know you're having dinner? And he's like, no. And she's like, it's such a problem. I'm like, yes, but it's a him problem.
Who are some of your main poetry influences?
Anne Sexton.
Oh yes.
Love a bit of Anne Sexton
Mm.
because every poem that woman wrote felt like she was lounging on a chaise longue with a glass of gin and a
Yeah.
cigarette. Right, so definitely. Rachel Long is another absolute favourite. Her
Mm.
collection, My Darling from the Lions, is exquisite.
You know, I didn't
Um,
know what I thought of it. I mean, obviously it was amazing. Obviously it was amazing,
yeah,
and that's what I thought of it. But I don't know. I don't know.
I think having heard her perform some of it as well, and
Yeah.
having actually talked to her about it, sort
Mm.
of gives it an added level for
Yeah,
me.
of course, yeah.
And yeah, and some of the stuff she was talking about, like there's one where she's talking about going and getting her hair done in the black hairdressers because she's mixed race as well.
Mm.
And she's like, girl, this is the most black you've ever been. And I'm like, I feel that in my soul. That hit home. Because as you know, I've got a poem about going to the hairdressers
Mm.
and these days being accepted to have my hair braided, whereas before it's like, get out of here with your white hair. So it's so yeah, a lot of what she's talking about is my experience. I think maybe that's because why it resonates so much.
Mm.
Um, Kaio King Chingonyi, Kaio Chingonyi, and his Kumakanda collection.
Yes, I've
Amazing,
read that, yeah.
absolutely. Some Bright Elegance is just one of my favourite all-time poems.
Mm.
Historically, weirdly enough, Robert Frost.
Yeah, Robert Frost is
However,
great, yeah.
I love the way in Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, he uses repetition to denote tiredness and depression, like miles to go before I sleep
Mm.
and miles to go before I sleep. But that whole repetition of that last line in that last stanza just
Mm.
speaks to me. Who else? Oh, there's someone called Setra Ebrahimi and Kate Humphlet, like in your arms.
Oh,
Like,
thank you so much. Thank you.
I
That was
love it.
that was very, I've got to say to the, the publishers really helped me edit the best out of those poems, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really, really important part of the process that people don't realise. They
Yeah,
think that the poet just goes, here are my poems,
yeah.
find them. But
And
there's
I've known
more to
poets,
it.
I've known poets to do that to their detriment. I've known poets that have what you would call a good, a, a great basis for handing over what they have to the editors, and what they do at that point is go, no, I'm not going to do that. You will put this out as it is, and it's like, that book could have
Mm,
been great, but now it's just,
okay.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so
good, but it's not great.
yeah. So now I'm just like, editors, take it away. Do what you want with
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. It was such a learning curve, and I've become a better editor and a better poet having gone through that process with you and Jess.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel the same way about I don't know if you know Amy Aker from Bad Betty. She's just
Yeah,
an absolute queen. Um and yeah, she really whipped it into shape. So yeah, exactly. Have you got a couple of poems from other people that you'd like to read out?
I have. Oh my days, you have no idea how hard this was.
It's so
As
hard.
Okay, so the first one, obviously, is To My Lover on Returning to His Wife by Anne Sexton.
Oh, I love that one.
The ultimate in just lying there with a gin and a ciggy. So, yeah. Apparently, I read this differently to a lot of people, but we'll see how it goes. She is all there. She was melted carefully down for you and cast up from your childhood, cast up from your 100 favourite Aggies. She has always been there, my darling. She is, in fact, exquisite. Fireworks in the dull middle of February and as real as a cast iron pot. Let's face it, I have been momentary, a luxury, a bright red sloop in the harbour, my hair rising like smoke from the car window, little neck clams out of season. She is more than that. She is your have to have, has grown you, your practical, your tropical growth. This is not an experiment. She is all harmony. She sees to oars and oarlocks for the dinghy, has placed wild flowers at the window at breakfast, sat by the potter's wheel at midday, set forth 3 children under the moon, 3 cherubs drawn by Michelangelo, done this with her legs spread out in the terrible months in the chapel. If you glance up, the children are there, like delicate balloons resting on the ceiling. She has also carried each one down the hall after supper, their heads privately bent, 2 legs protesting, person to person, her face flushed with the song and their little sleep. I give you back your heart. I give you permission for the fuse inside her throbbing angrily and the dirt for the bitch in her and the burying of her wound, for the burying of her small red wound alive, for the pale flickering flare under her ribs, for the drunken sailor who waits in her left pulse, for the mother's knee, for the stocking, for the garter belt, for the call, the curious call, when you will burrow in arms and breasts and tug at the orange ribbon in her hair and answer the call, the curious call. She is so naked and singular. She is the sum of yourself and your dream. Climb her like a monument, step after step. She is solid. As for me, I am a watercolour, a wash off.
Amazing.
I love that poem so much. Second one I'm going to do is a Paul Tran one, just because I am now fangirling like mad. And it's after Monica Youn. And again, content warning for sexual assault for this. It's called Incident Report. I had a form. The form said name of victim. The form named me. The form was a form of naming. Naming gave me form. The form said time of incident. Time could be measured. The incident could be defined. Both had a form. Both were a form of naming. The form said age. Age could be measured by time. Age could be defined by the incident. The incident occurred on the night before my 21st birthday. The time was night. As night became night, the incident occurred in my room at the time. The time occurred to me after the incident. The form said race or ethnicity. Both were constructed. Both marked me. Both had a form. Both were a form of naming. Naming was marking. I marked the form Asian, bottom. For now, I constructed myself, looking for fun, no strings attached. I was unremarkable. The form said sex. The form listed my options. I had no option. I went along with the sex. The sex had a name. I won't say the name. Both marked me. The form said affiliation. Everything started out fine. The form said residence. I unlocked the door. I misread affiliation as affliction. The name entered. I misread residence as residual. The name kissed me. The form said alcohol or drugs used at the time of the incident. I was having a good time. The form said relationship with the assailant prior to the incident. I did the thing I was good at. The form said type of coercion or force involved. The name hit me. The form said please specify. The name choked me. The form said ability to consent was inhibited by. The name pressed a white towel against my face. The form said please specify. The towel smelled like sugar. Please specify. An ice cream truck drove by. Please. I heard this song.
I was reading I Have Been Her Kind by Anne Sexton last night.
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I love Anne Sexton. Anne Sexton and Ellen Bass. I cannot come away with this without talking about Ellen Bass as well. That woman is a goddess.
Mm.
Yeah.
I find Anne's poems so heavy, and you could just feel the weight of the mental health issues and the huge battle against them. I mean, she really did put up a fight, you know.
She
And
really did.
yeah, I feel like in many ways she was almost overlooked by Sylvia Plath. I mean, they corresponded, and a lot of their work and phrasing is very similar.
But I kind of feel that Sylvia Plath is a fine whiskey and Anne Sexton is a bourbon with just bourbon over rocks.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So sexy.
Yeah.
What's in the future for you? What else would you like to do?
So in the future for me is finishing my masters in creative writing at Cardiff Met. Hopefully getting through to the finals of Uni Slam, which we'll find out next weekend. Then starting my PhD, and then more poetry collections.
World domination?
World domination, then a nap. But yeah, I'm also writing a novel.
Brilliant.
At the moment. Yeah, I'm writing a sex positive chick flick feminist novel about two women who were born in the same room at the same time and are never parted. And like there's men in it, but they're pretty much peripheral. It's about it's a romance, but it's about a platonic romance. It's about the love between friends, because I think women are not taught to celebrate that love and not to name it as love.
Yeah, I find that I've experienced that personally quite a lot. You don't name it as love, but it is that, but it's not physically sexual, but it could be.
I mean, in a lot of cases it could be.
Yeah,
It just isn't.
yeah.
But yeah, all of my friends when we come off the phone to each other, it's always love you. I love you the mostest.
My husband does that to his male friends as well. He's like, love you. And I'm like, well, why did you tell Jim you loved him? And he's like, because I love him.
Because I do. Yeah. And I think we should normalise this. I've got a friend called Dale, and his best friend Lloyd, when he used to ring him up when he was at uni with us, he used to answer the phone, hey beautiful. Yeah. And we never knew whether he was talking to Lloyd or his wife. Still, they were like, hey, gorgeous. Oh, Lloyd was blowing full kisses the other night. It's just the most wholesome thing, and I think we should normalise it.
What's your favourite poem from your collection?
Oh my God! It changed all the way through the editing. All the way through. I would normally, if you'd asked me this before the editing, I would have said, I would have given you one answer. Now I'm like, some bright eloquence rather.
Yeah.
Sunbright Eloquence, which is the one I wrote after Caio Cingogni, and the one that started off the whole idea of the collection, but became the last poem in it. Yeah, probably that one.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for talking to me today, and
You're more than
hope you have a
welcome.
good rest of your day.
I will do. Thank you very much.